Welcome to another match preview where we look ahead to our latest home league game with the visitors being Hornchurch. We'll workshop that before the return game, don't worry. So a couple of games in the last week then, culminating in a battling draw at Dorking, but before then the Stones FA Cup adventure for this season came to an end, Nigel, at Solihull.
Yeah, a bit of a weird one, wasn't it? Do you know what I mean? It's their class kind of showed in the end, I guess, but I just think they were a bit more nous. I mean, the referee wasn't the best, as we know, at this level, but I just think they played the referee a little bit better than what we did at times. And once that second goal went in, you know, we didn't really muster a fight, did we? But you know, we were in the game in the first half, definitely in the game in the first half, but we just, I think they got that early goal. There were all mistakes by us, really. They're all goals that could have been preventable. I mean, if you looked at the game before and analysed it, they all sort of come from them sort of like defensive mistakes by us. Yeah. So, you know, as a previous manager has said, it's one of those. So
it is, and it was.
And it's, we got to the first round, which I think was important for after last season, just to sort of underline it, rubber stamp it, and we move on now. And as we've said, at the game on Tuesday evening, you know, it's all the league now. We've got tough November fixtures coming up, and I think it probably might be, hopefully, it will prove to be a blessing in disguise.
I hope so, yes. So some quick commiserations to our fellow National League South clubs, of course. Everybody exited who was left at the first round stage this season, so all eyes on the FA Trophy for the division at large now. And a quick word also on the 1-1 draw at Dorking, Nigel. Stones were able to keep their unbeaten league run going at a notoriously difficult ground for them.
As we said on Tuesday evening, you know, if you take the game in isolation, it was a very good game, and Maidstone were in the game all the time despite the red card. And you know, we've had a few look back at it since, and it's one of those that, you know, depending on what angle you look at it from, and you know, look at it in real time or whether you slow it down. And again, it didn't take away from the quality that was on show from the Maidstone team. You know, every one of them sort of put a shift in and got back and got the point that you know, even Mark White conceded at the end. You know, was the least that Maidstone deserved.
More than complimentary about us, wasn't it?
Exactly really that. And you know, and rightly so, because you know, we said it on commentary throughout that second half. The work rate was phenomenal. If you would see, you know, from our position that you was watching it, you know, the tracking back and the closing down and the pressing and everything about it, was literally all you'd want to see from your team, you know, in that situation. And if after 40 minutes just before half time you'd have offered us a draw, you snap your hand off. But again, you know, you look back at the game and you think, you know, there a few chances there, that one that fizzed across the box that Lodovica just couldn't get, he's got outstretching for. And again, it's just like, you know, but it's a point in the right direction, and you know, that's important, you know. And we've gone away from home, and we're still unbeaten away from home, and we've played a lot of the teams that are going to be in and around. I know we've got Torquay to come up, but we've played Dorking away now, we've played Boreham Wood away now, and we've not, you know, been outplayed at all in any of those games. I mean, in Boreham Wood, you know, you look at that Benton offside goal that was ruled out. You know, we could have easily taken 3 points from those games. So, yeah, it's all positive signs if you look at it like that, but it's just that it's just not showing in the table yet. But you know, hopefully, if you keep winning, and that you know, we said this again on the hot take, you know, we're 7 points above the relegation zone, we're only 8 points off the playoffs. So it's kind of like stick or twist time now, isn't it? And you know, as we come on to and as the month of November progress, we're kind of see which way we're going to go.
We will, definitely. One of two ways. So to Hornchurch, and in goal, Harry Seedon joined last month from Hemel, and Mason Terry is the number one, having joined on loan from West Ham in the summer, and he has played every game so far this season for the Urchins, with 5 clean sheets from 17 so far. That was before Hemel, so doing the maths, that's 6 that he's got now. So Nigel, a settled number one in this side, but he has plenty of football behind him despite only being 20 years of age.
Again, you know, it's always difficult for a goalkeeper to, especially come through these sort of Premier League, Championship academies, because you're always competing against players in your own age. So when you can step outside of that and establish yourself at an early age, it's probably good signs for him. And you know, it's always good for a keeper. We had Dumbarton on loan here, didn't we, in our National League season, and he's now sort of number one, or we're competing for number one at Swindon. So, you know, it's good experience for these players, and you know, and one that he looks like he's grasping with both hands, as I say, use the pun there, but 12 to 6 clean sheets for a team that's, again, like us, sort of similar in the table, it kind of defies the position that you're in the table. So it's certainly, and like all the managers said, like we've always said, there's no easy games in this league, is there?
So in defence, Bailey Clements joined in the summer after coming through the Ipswich Academy and was most recently on loan at Eastleigh. Giles Phillips is on loan from Ebbsfleet. Harry Gibbs is in his 3rd season and 2nd spell, having had time with Aveley. Jazzy Barnum-Bob joined from Chelmsford in the summer. Ryan Scott has earned back-to-back promotions with Aveley and now Hornchurch just last season, both to the National League South, of course. Nathan Green signed from Folkestone Invicta last year. Nathan Bertram Cooper has had 10 seasons with the Urchins and won the FA Trophy back during COVID times. Will Greenwich is on loan from Colchester City, having previously graduated from West Ham's Academy. So, Nigel, plenty of experience in this back line and a few who know how to get promoted up to National League South.
And I think that probably comes down to Daryl McMahon as their manager, isn't it? He's got the contacts at that higher level. He's managed in the Football League before. Obviously, we know he's managed at Ebbsfleet and Dagenham and Redbridge, the local teams for us, and he's recruited and he used these networking and scouting to get these players in, and they're all players with good calibre. It's not as if they're getting sort of like young and up and coming players from like the local teams as we've seen previously with some of these teams. They're all good calibre players. I mean,
West Ham.
Yeah, exactly. And Bailey Clements, he was highly touted. I mean, we've come across him in previous seasons as well. So, they've had a sort of a similar sort of start to us, but they're now picking up. They got that home win against Torquay recently, and that was coming from behind as well after going 1-0 down against Torquay, and they come back and got the win there. So they've got a little bit of form behind them. I think when we look at it at the end of the preview here, we'll see that their form table is pretty much similar to us. So all these players are, they're new into the league, but they're just growing in confidence and they're just starting to know the system and know the combinations, and it helps. It helps. It's going to be another tough game, I think. Yeah.
So their midfield consists of Angelo Balanta, he joined from Boreham Wood in the summer. Charlie Adams joined from Maidenhead after 3 years there. Emmanuel Harvest is in his 2nd season with the Urchins. George Saunders, his 4th season and 2nd spell, and he made his 100th appearance back on New Year's Day. Ollie Muldoon is the latest entrant on this season's list of former Stone against the Stones. I'm sure we'll release a coffee table book of that or something come the end of the season, frankly, with how many we've had to go through. He, of course, had 2 years at the Gallagher during the 3 continuous National League seasons. Sean Scannell is in his 2nd season with Hornchurch. He started his career with almost a decade at Crystal Palace. Tom Raitt is another of those ex-Stones that will go in that coffee book against their former employer. Again, so many of them this season. He played the middle of those 3 consecutive National League seasons before he moved to Chelmsford and then to his current home, Hornchurch. So Nigel, a couple of ex-Stones in this side and some other experienced names from all levels of English football there.
What you expect from a Daryl McMahon side, isn't it? You've got George Saunders in there, he's had at Dagenham and Redbridge previously. Angelo Balanta was a stalwart when they were up there, upper reaches of the National League, And then, like you say, you've got Ollie Muldoon and Tom Raitt, Ollie Muldoon is one of those players, isn't he, that he wasn't a standout player in that time, but he's a player that you could see now the value of his set piece deliveries and that, in comparison to another National League player, he doesn't stand out. But in this league, he's somebody that you think, oh yeah, you could do something like that in your team, isn't he? And Tom Raitt, again, he was sort of like a bit part player at times. I don't think he had a few sort of injury problems. Yeah. And I think it was about timing when he was with us. He never really got that run in the side. But I remember that goal he scored here on, I think it was New Year's Day, that bullet header against Dover Athletic to get the equaliser late on there. So they've certainly had their contributions to Maystone's history, and they've obviously found a home at Hornchurch and a manager and a system that they like, and they're excelling down there. So that experience and that sort of happy to be playing football makes for a potent sort of attacking outfit, and if a happy player, you're a good player, aren't you? So again, I think they've got a good squad there. I mean, they was sort of really, of the promoted teams, they were one of the ones who were expected to sort of be the dark horses to maybe make the playoffs as such. And like we said, they didn't have the best of starts, but then they're slowly starting to find their form. And I think, recent results show that they're going to be no pushovers.
Yeah. So up front, Eddie Youssef joined from Folkestone Invicta in February 2023. He is in his second spell with the Urchins. Darren McQueen joined in the summer from Ebbsfleet, having been there with the Daggers under Daryl McMahon, of course. Femi Akinwanda joined from Hastings 2 years ago. His 18 goals last season helped Hornchurch get promoted to National League South. Scott Cashket has plenty of EFL experience before he joined the Urchins in the summer. And Liam Nash is in his 5th season with the club, and he scored that injury time winner in that FA Trophy run when the two clubs last met. So Nigel, lots of local Kent-based experience in this front line, and others with experience of Kent, of course.
Darren McQueen, I think he's definitely played for Ebbsfleet, hasn't he? And Dagenham, and Scott Cashket was at Gillingham season before last, I think. And Liam Nash, I think he's a Gillingham youth product, but he's one of those players that, could clearly play a couple of leagues higher. Yeah. But I think he's sort of found his little, whether that's sort of like a big fish in a little pond sort of syndrome, or what his job is, I don't know what his job is, but he's, he must have had offers from higher league, but he's just happy playing where he's playing, and one of those that the team sort of evolves around him. And when you've got players again like Youssef, again, he's played against us in National League. I think he was at Solihull, wasn't he, previously? If it's the same one, there's a couple of 80 Youssefs around. I'm not sure it's the same one, but yeah, it's certainly a name that we've come across. And McQueen knows where the net is, and Femi Akinwanda is it? You say, he's another one that's been into the Football League and had that experience of that, but now sort of found his home and found his place in this Hornchurch side. So again, as well as they've got a good spine, I think, through that team. You can look at the names and you think, from 1 to 11, they can compete with anybody in the league. I think it's probably just going to come down to sort of like fitness and leadership, like most teams do, really.
So the Urchins were unbeaten in 5 in all competitions, only 1 win in that run before they hosted Hemel on Tuesday, and they of course got that 1-0 Liam Nash win. They haven't won on the road since opening day though, Nigel, so hopefully for the Stones' sake that run continues come Saturday. You
look at Daryl McMahon's record here.
Yes.
If you look at things like that, and sometimes just we've said it many times, apart from going to Torquay, you're not going to play in front of a bigger crowd. So with the contingent of ex-Stones and players that are used to playing in this stadium, I don't think they're going to be overawed by it in any way. Do you know what I mean? So, and they've all sort of played on 3G pitches now. There's enough of them in the league to sort of acclimatise yourself if you haven't been already. So, it's whether we can sort of, again, like we've said before, we've got to now start asserting our game plan and getting points on the board now, because we can definitely compete in this league, no doubt about it, but it's just putting those sort of coaching plans that we train on week in, week out into practice and putting it into the results now.
Yeah. So there's been 15 fixtures in the last 15 years between the two sides. Only 3 away wins in that sequence for either side. 2 of those were for the Stones. But they've only won 1 home game in that run. And of course, who can forget that memorable game during lockdown, Nigel? That incredibly balmy game in the FA Trophy where the Urchins won 5-4 in the end.
And they went on to win the FA Trophy that year as well.
As you do.
I mean, that was the swan song of that sort of side we had then with players like Seydou Khan and George Porter, and they didn't play on after that, and that was the last game of that season. And it's a different competition, different era now, isn't it? So hopefully we can, as I said before, we can put our game plan into practice and come out on the positive side of the result.
So if you can't make it to the game on Saturday, Fred and Nigel will have you covered on Stones Live from 2:40. You'll see them on the hot take and then hear them on the highlights once they go online later in the weekend. So last time out at home, the Stones finally kick-started their home league campaign. Can they make it 2 on the spin at the Gallagher? Looking forward to that one as ever. So thanks as always for watching or listening to the latest preview. Like and subscribe on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts, of course. See or hear you for our next preview ahead of that Torquay away game. And as always,
Come on, you Stones.